is being picky and waiting a good thing? I mean, what are your thoughts on all this?
I have a few thoughts. So I would imagine it's true that you really value adventure and novelty in life. Is that a big thing for you? Because you just said that you going on a lot of adventures.
I think novelty and, my job can be stressful. I've actually summited Everest 4 times, Mount Everest, and I guide clients there. And I
Okay,
also guide all.
Oh boy.
You're not someone who is playing it safe. You're not the person who lives your life playing it safe. I mean, you're a ski instructor, you're a professional skier. You climbed Mount Everest 4 times. I mean, that's not someone. Yeah, but that's not. Yeah, okay. So that's not someone who's living a safe life. And so you're looking for that fire. So oftentimes when we're someone who values at a high level adventure, novelty, maybe some risk, maybe a little bit of danger, what we're also drawn to in relationships is a lot of that fire. And sometimes, not always, but you can verify this for me. Sometimes what that can lead to is maybe a lot of relationships that feel like a roller coaster, or a lot of fighting, maybe a lot of physical passion, but then just a lot of fighting and ups and downs. Is that your experience?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to actually, believe it or not, be very laid back and sort of patient because of what I do for a living.
Oh, I believe it.
But when that gets clashed with somebody who does have the excitement and the energy, which I thrive on,
yes,
I think that's caused some problems in the past.
Yeah.
And I kind of figure out how to navigate that moving forward. But also at times like I've always said to my friends, or even my friends or my family say to me, because they know me very well, that I probably need to date somebody who's also not normal. Like somebody that, let's say, has a 9-to-5 job might not fit for me. But, somebody that lives a life of similar adventure or a non-traditional job where they can work remotely has been a fit for me.
But you said you're too picky. You're too picky, right? So here would be, this is my advice to you. I would never suggest that anyone pursue a relationship with someone with whom they don't feel any chemistry. But I think you should have a lot of dates where you're sitting down with someone and really getting to know someone. Because one of the things that's really hard to distinguish is the difference between lust and love. And when we feel a lot of that fire and that feeling, you said you're very laid back. So you may be going for like the fiery type, and you're leading with that feeling. And I don't want you to not have any chemistry, but I want you to make a deeper connection. And sometimes that deep connection doesn't come on the first date. It just doesn't come. And if you're looking for the immediate fireworks, and if you don't feel it, then you write someone off, then yes, I would say to you that your pickiness is not an indication that you're not ready, but it is an indication that this is one way in which you might be standing in your own way. So I would actually give women who you think are pleasant and nice more of a chance. And instead of being in the position of vetting them, they have to have the same lifestyle as me, I have to feel that fire, all these things, I want you instead to try to make a connection with another human being and really get to know her, even if she ends up being a friend, or even if this is someone who you never see again, to give people more of a chance so that you can practice your skills of actually really getting to know someone. How does that land for you?
That lands pretty well, because it's true. I mean, a lot of people sort of look at me and say, well, you're doing this, you're doing that. You've been up on Everest three or 4 times. Like, what does your wife think of this? And it's like, well, first of all, I don't have a wife yet, but at the same time, I know of people in my same profession that do have families, and I know it's possible.
Yeah. And you could very easily have a wife that would be so happy to see you when you returned home.
Yes.
And not interested in making the trek with you. That's very, very, very doable and very probably likely.
Yes, absolutely. Who accepts you for who you are, and you accept her for who she is, but she doesn't have to be doing it with you. And I think that's where you maybe need to expand your mind a little bit.
Thanks, John. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time. Tamara is joining us from New Jersey. We heard from a lot of women like you, Tamara. A single mom who's dedicated yourself to raising your daughter, who's now a junior in college, and now you're left with yourself. Yes. What's
Hi,
going on?
Oprah. Hi, Jillian.
Hi.
Thank you for this opportunity. So, like you said, I'm a single mom who's 50, and my dating journey went a little bit like this. I said I was going to get back out there when my daughter went to middle school, and then that turned to high school. And then, like you said, she's a junior in college, and I attempted again. I will get excited about creating my dating profile. I'll put myself out there. I'll go on 1 or 2 dates. And that is kind of the extent of it. I have to honestly say, I really enjoyed the book, Jillian. And the last chapter really resonated with me, especially about really just pouring into myself, taking the time to discover who I am. And I feel like I'm at this stage of my life where I'm honestly ready to date. I'm just curious to know from your perspective, for someone that hasn't dated in a while, like, how should I be looking at these lessons? Should I be looking at it through a different lens?
No, I think you can be looking at it through the same. I mean, you hope to one day be in a relationship. So I always say prepare. So these are things to help you prepare. And also, if you want to put yourself out there and date, there's some very important principles in the book that you need to be aware of so that you have better experiences in a relationship. But I would imagine that it's a little scary. It's a little intimidating to put yourself out there and go on dates. And then maybe you don't have a great date. And then you think, well, what's the point? Or, I'm happy alone. But could you maybe just think of it as, instead of going on dates to find your next partner, can you make some friends with some men?
I feel like I can. I definitely feel like I can. I think it just becomes a little bit daunting. I've tried different mediums. I feel like I'm more of an in-person connection versus online. So
Fine.
I would be happy and open to exploring different mediums. And I can definitely start with being friends. I think for me, it's easy to create connections with people, but it's getting started that I'm really having a challenge with.
Okay. Do you have a favorite restaurant that you like to go to in the neighborhood?
Yes.
Okay. So take yourself to dinner or for lunch.
Okay.
You can sit at the bar and you can bring a book and start talking to people. Now, it doesn't have to be men. You could be sitting next to someone, and because you said making friends and talking to people comes naturally to you. You can start talking to people, and you never know, you could meet a woman whose cousin's kid, whatever, whose cousin is just recently divorced, or you just never know what's going to happen. And I often say, like, if you're not going to do the apps, totally fine. Expand your circle. Start talking to people. Get yourself off the couch, because it's not going to happen on your couch. And get yourself out there. And even if you go with just one friend and you sit at the bar, and start talking to people and start making connections. And because then you never know. And that's a very organic way for it to happen. But it's also you being proactive. And you say, I'm going to put myself out there more, without it having to be this, swiping and going on a date and having that sort of that tension and that rigidity around it. And so that's how I would start.
Amen.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Go for it. Go for it.
I'm ready.
All right.
I'm ready. Thank you.
Thanks, Tamara.